President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africa needs a new consensus to fight the triple challenge of deep poverty, unemployment and inequality. He says government, business, labor and civil society are working together to develop this national consensus within 100 days. For more on the President's State of the Nation address, we're joined via Zoom by political analyst Brutus Malada. Thank you so much for joining us. Your take on the President's address last night?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. Listening to the President's speech yesterday, last night, you would be forgiven to mistake it for a new party that has just gotten in, that has not been there for the past 20 years or so. Yet the ANC government has been a governing party since 1994. The president spoke about structural reform. These are the kind of concepts that are used to obfuscate the problems of the ANC lack of proper governance. You can't be blaming structural reform when you were a government since 1994. 27 years later, we should not be complaining about structural reform. Red tape, whose red tape is it? It's created by the very same ANC with legislation that is conflicting and conflicting each other. Transnet, which he spoke about, cable theft, these were happening under the ANC in the period of looting. So whatever the president was talking about, these are the challenges, some of them created by the very same ANC that he leads.
In fact, just to put emphasis on that point you just made, a journalist writes an opinion piece and says Ramaphosa has the presidential prerogative to have appointed Nkosi as Minister of Trade and Industry, but says also he has been the creator of the red tape on that side, and he appoints a cutter of red tape in his office. Are you in agreement? You seem in agreement?
Yeah, because people must not forget that Ramaphosa was deputy president under Jacob Zuma. So he has been in government for many years. He's not only in government now that he's president. So he got in as if he was not aware of the challenges that beset the South African government. We would have expected that as a person who has been inside, he should have actually handled these issues head on as soon as he became president. But it's only now that he's talking about cutting the red tape. It makes us wonder, where was he all along? Because if you look at some of the problems, like the intelligence issues, problems with intelligence, what does he offer? He says that cabinet takes full responsibility. I think it's a president who is shy of making decisive decisions, taking decisive decisions, and holding those who were responsible for the unrest of July last year accountable. The ministers responsible, one of them has been rewarded, given a position of Speaker in Parliament. Bheki Cele is still there. Nothing has happened. So this is a mark of a president who is indecisive.
So how different was yesterday's SONA speech compared to that speech that everybody thought was just so inspirational, the Tumamina speech? Are there any differences for you?
There are no differences. It's promises. You can check on employment. You will find the very same things that were promised. You will find the very same complaints that the president has been making since he became president. So there is nothing new. Honestly, what happened yesterday, let me put it this way. After years of plunder, you need a president who is decisive. This is what happened in China. After Mao Zedong cultural revolution, you had a Deng Xiaoping who took over and fixed the economy of China. So Ramaphosa is neither a fixer nor a transformational leader. He is just keeping the seat warm. He is doing absolutely nothing. He's not the kind of a president that we needed after many years of plunder. We needed a person who is decisive, who makes decisions. But Ramaphosa is not that person. Let me tell you, when you look at the 4 presidents that we have had so far, you had Mandela. You can actually define what Mandela's presidency was about. It was about uniting black and white. Mbeki's presidency was about building institutions and the economy. In that regard, you saw building of reserves. You saw us clearing our debt. Under Zuma, we plundered the state. That's what defines Jacob Zuma. Plundered the reserves in the economy and plundered the state and state capture. Under Ramaphosa, instead of fixing, Ramaphosa is dithering. So he will be defined as a president who dithered, who was indecisive.
You're talking about the legacy of the Mandela presidency or its identity. And today we asked our viewers to call in because the 11th of February marks an anniversary of when he was released on that day in 1990. Daniel Choma joins us now on the line. A very good morning to you, Daniel. You're calling us from Orkney. What's on your mind?
Yes. How are you today?
We're very well, thank you.
Yes, I'm fine. Since anniversary comes today, I don't see anything coming from Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. I want to know, are still existing or is already closed? Because Mr. Mandela, he loves the children, he enjoying to have the children. Now I see nothing coming from Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. What's happening there? I want to know more. Or it's still existing or it's closed altogether.
Thank you very much, Daniel. As far as my knowledge, the work of the fund, the Children's Fund, was transferred the focus was transferred to the Nelson Mandela Hospital that's now services children with serious illnesses. But pertinent question, we'll engage it some more. Brutus, your thoughts about the legacy of Nelson Mandela? You touched on it a bit just in terms of what it represented, but all these years down the line, what's the legacy for South Africa?
Mandela's legacy is about, or was about, non-racialism. And if you look throughout his term as president, he was going all out to make blacks and white work together. When you look at his cabinet, he had a good representation of the white community, the Indian community, and the black community. So his legacy was about uniting different races in South Africa. And he did very well in that regard. And we needed that after many years of apartheid and colonialism. So you needed a leader who would be magnanimous in offering or extending an olive branch to those who were oppressors, but also to say, let us build a new country going forward. He did his best in that regard. And after that, we needed to have a focus on the economy. So I think that transition was quite well managed, of the transition from apartheid to democracy under the leadership of Mandela. And people had hopes that the new South Africa will offer great opportunities under the leadership of Nelson Mandela. So for me, the legacy of Mandela is very clear, and he played his part. Now it's us who need to build institutions and to create a better economy for everyone to benefit.
Brutus Malada, thank you so much for making the time to speak to us this morning.